are welcome to get started, and I want to be the first to welcome everybody into the interview portion of the 2025 World Livestock Auctioneer Championship. It's a pleasure to have everybody here, and we certainly welcome those online watching on the LMA YouTube channel, and of course those that are attending our conference here in person as well. Each of these contestants that you'll see coming up onto the stage will have an opportunity to answer 3 questions and be scored up to, I believe it's 25% of our final score when the scoring's all done. The criteria that we will use and the judges will use for the presentation and the response will be scoreable categories for initial command and introduction, professionalism and poise, body language and eye contact. Did the contestant answer the question, substance of answers and knowledge of industry, their articulation, and finally, would this auctioneer make a good marketing ambassador? We have 5 judges doing the scoring here today for the interview portion. The first is our 1989 World Livestock Auctioneer Champion from Centennial, Colorado, Mr. Paul C. Bear. Our second judge from the American Angus Association out of Holdridge, Nebraska, Will Harsh. Our third judge from Iowa Western Community College in Council Bluffs, Iowa, Nicole Tremmel-Juranic, is that right? From Cleveland County Agriculture and Livestock Exchange, Shelby, North Carolina, Dr. Stephen Matthews will be our fourth judge. And our fifth judge, a multiple-time WLAC finalist, and from Western Ag Life in Tucson, Arizona, Mr. Paul Ramirez. We thank the judges for their expertise and certainly taking the time to come to our contest here today. Each of these semifinalists have drawn for their order of appearance at last night's barbecue, and we'll call each of them out at the time to ask them the 3 questions. The questions were selected in advance by the LMA leadership. And at this time, we're going to ask that all the people in the gallery here, please silence your phones, shut those phones off, pay those contestants the respect that of turning those phones off and those devices off. Please keep conversations and noise in the room to a minimum as well. Now, these 30 contestants, as they walk up onto this stage, they've all got a little butterfly in the stomach, and they've probably overthought what these questions are going to be and what their answers are going to be. And I can tell you from the perspective of sitting in that seat that one thing that you can do to help these contestants, and it's nice to have these cowboy hats, if they see some hats nodding in agreement, it gives them a lot of confidence. So that's just coming from my perspective. If you want to help a contestant out, that's one of the best ways to do it. They're putting a lot out there by coming up here and being judged by these five judges on their articulation and, of course, what they know about the industry. So without any further ado, I believe we will move right into our first contestant, number 1, Mr. Jack Riggs from Glens Ferry, Idaho. Jack, it's good to have you here.
Thank you, Wade. Appreciate
Congratulations on making the finals.
Thank you.
We're going to have a conversation here in just a moment, but just before we do, would you like to take a moment to thank any of your sponsors or family that's allowed you to be here?
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for having me. I would like to take this opportunity first and foremost to thank my newly beautiful wife. She's sitting in the crowd somewhere. Thank you for coming with me. My parents as well that are up here with me, my sponsors back home. Really, Wade, without them, I wouldn't be able to be here and do what I do on a weekly basis. And the judges, thank you guys very much for taking your time out of your days, being here. Last but not least, Wade, thank you very much. Oh, nice big breath right there. For the time and commitment that it takes to be a world champion. I know a lot of people don't realize what it takes, but the commitment away from your family this year and the job you've done representing the LMA and the commitment you've put in has truly been second to none. So thank you very much. And with that being said, I'm ready to go to work.
Ready to have a conversation?
Absolutely.
All right,
absolutely.
let's do that. I don't want to talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
You know, for me, Wade, it really is one of those things that I just need to prepare and be the best auctioneer that I can be. And that requires me just doing the job as best I can, being absolutely as clear as I can, working through the crowd as best as I can, understanding the market as best to that day up to that point, understanding the cattle, understanding the buyers. If that requires showing up to the sale early, talking to the buyers about what they have going on, what the market maybe did in the last week since I've seen them. Those sales are a week-to-week basis with me. Some of those guys I'll see 2 days in a row, but then I might not see them for a week. So getting up to date, catching up with those guys before the sale, and accumulating that knowledge before I go into it, and understanding, for me, better checking the boards and understanding what that market has done, looking through the cattle that we have in the yard and understanding what orders may be in the pockets of those buyers and what cattle we have outside that fill those orders, and kind of knowing where cattle can go throughout the day and what cattle will fit certain buyers. And then in regards to the selling aspect of it, just being the best auctioneer I can be, being as clear as possible, making sure everybody understands where I am and everybody's on the same page, and selling those cattle to the best of my ability.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
You know, I think there's a few factors that are shaping the future, and one of those is the next generation that is coming up into this business. The next generation that's coming up into this business is really struggling, if I'm going to be honest. You know, there's a lot of roadblocks in their way to make them successful. There's a lot of things that are a little bit troubling if you really start to think about it, that they are going to have to overcome to be successful like generations before us. And it's things that we are starting to talk about, and it's things that we're really starting to be proactive about now, so the generations after us can be successful. But it's the generations that are coming behind us really do have their work cut out for them. And the things that I see to be a problem in this industry are that those generations are not going to have the support from us and the generation before us to be able to accomplish those goals.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
I think there's a lot of ways that as an auctioneer you can contribute to the strength of the livestock industry, and it's not just selling the cattle, but being proactive in your organization, such as the LMA. A lot of misconceptions is that the auctioneer just is the guy sitting on the auction block selling the cattle. But at the same time, that auctioneer can also be that guy for the consignor that is the knowledge for them. Like back home, I'm a fourth generation rancher in southern Idaho, and when I very first started in the auction yard, one of the biggest flaws of the rancher in the United States is marketing. And the average age of the United States landowner and rancher is in the 60s. And I don't know about you guys, but my dad is 60 years old, and he doesn't know how to use a phone very well. And so when it comes time to check that market report on his phone, he doesn't do it very good. And so the benefit that I brought to our little community there, the ranches and our neighbors around us, was the ability to talk to those guys and help them market their cattle. Yes, I was an auctioneer, and yes, I was selling their cattle, but at the same time, being involved in that sale yard gave me the opportunity to be more knowledgeable about what was going on a week-to-week basis. And going back to that first answer, talking to those buyers and seeing what they had going on, what their orders were like, what their feedlots looked like, if they were full, if they needed cattle. Timing on cattle is everything. And being able to help those neighbors market their cattle at the correct time was an absolutely huge win for everybody around us.
Very good. Thank you. Jack Riggs, everybody.
Thank you very much, Wade.
Contestant number 2, Will Gregory from Auburn, Kentucky. Well, we're going to have a conversation here in just a moment. Before we get started, I'd like to give you that opportunity if you'd like to thank anybody or recognize any sponsors or family members that allowed you to be here.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Wade. First off, I'd like to say thank you to my family, and of course, they're here in the crowd. And I'm just so blessed to have them with me. You know, as you know, that this career, it does demand a lot of sacrifices from our family, and my family does that so willingly, and I'm just so appreciative of them. And I'd also like to say thank you to my friends that are here that have traveled across the country to support me, and of course to my sponsors, Cattlemen's Livestock Market of Rockville, Kentucky, Kentucky Tennessee Livestock. The entire team has just been so encouraging through this, and I'm thankful for all of them. And let me just put in an unsolicited plug for the LMA here. I appreciate the fact that they have organized things for my family to do while they're here. That's important to me, and I appreciate the value that they put on family here. So,
very good, Will. Well, let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
You know, that's an excellent question, Wade. And if you know me, or if you've gotten to know me, you know that I'm a preparing guy. You know, I'm not one that shoots from the hip. So we have so many resources that are available to us now. We have smartphones. We have market trends on our phone. We can make phone calls. We can have Zoom meetings. There are podcasts. There is really no reason not to be up to date with the market trends. And so I'm constantly studying that market. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm talking to other professionals in the industry to ensure that I know what's going on within the market so that I can ensure that I'm working for that consignor effectively throughout the process.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
You know, I think that's a great question as well, Wade. You know, the factors that are shaping up the livestock industry are the fact that we are offering internet bidding, the fact that we have artificial intelligence that we can incorporate for marketing. You know, one thing that I see that we get confused a lot of times is that our marketing is simply inside the arena. Well, I think that our marketing is long before that. We want to make sure that we are promoting these products that we sell efficiently long before they get to that sale arena, and we just have those resources now that we can utilize so that we can better serve our consignors and our sellers and producers.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
You know, as an auctioneer, I know that I have different attributes that I can contribute to the industry. and I know that I have experiences that I'm able to offer up. You know, one thing about it is iron sharpens iron. And so one man sharpens the other. So I think that as we join forces, as we lock arms, and we recognize that there is a need for all of us to be on the same page moving forward so that we can better perform for the industry and for those that are thriving in the industry and for those that are relying on the industry to make their living.
This is Will Gregory, everybody.
Thank you, Wade. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you.
Contestant number 3 is Scott Twardowski from Swanville, Minnesota.
Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Thanks, Wade.
Scott, we're going to have a conversation here with some questions in it, but before we get started, I'd like to give you this opportunity, if you would like to take it, to thank any of your sponsors or family that helped you get here.
I sure would. Guys, I'd like to thank my wife and my children, always been big supporters of me. My sponsor back in Minnesota, Mitch Bartle with Tri-County Stockyards and Perm Stockyards, been a big help since I started working with him and until up to this day, of course. And ladies and gentlemen that are in the crowd here today, I appreciate everybody coming out. You know, it takes a big group to put on any kind of event, and that's exactly what I have today. And it takes each and every one of you. And judges, thank you for your time as well. You're very important to tonight's event. Wade, you got some questions?
Absolutely. Scott, let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
Well, Wade, preparing for a sale, in my part of the country, what I've experienced and what I've learned is every day of the week we have a little bit different sale. We have special sheep, goats, and hog sales. We've got dairy sales and feeder cattle sales. So that type of a week, we got to reach out to the consigners that are bringing their cattle in or their hog, sheep, and goats them times of the day of the week, and relate that with buyers as well. So we got the right buyers coming at the right days, and also for our consignor, picking the right day to bring their livestock to the market so we can do the best job we possibly can for them to ultimately create the most money we can.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
How the sellers can benefit from the factors in today's times, you got to keep up with the times. I mean, times are constantly changing. What things used to happen in the past are quite different. We're all aware of that, of what's going on today in today's markets. But you got to be prepared. You got to do your homework. You know, we reach out to our consigners, make sure that they're doing the right shot protocol, weaning them, vaccinating them, and like I touched on before, picking the right sale to market their livestock on that we can get the most money at the end of the day.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
As my role as an auctioneer, I don't take it lightly. I've been, everything I've done in my life, if I'm going to do something, it's not going to be halfway. I want to do it 100%. And if I'm working for a consignor, I'm going to advertise as much as I possibly can, whether it's on social media or if they got a particular weight and size of cattle I know a guy's looking for, I'm going to give them a call and make sure they're coming to town, because I want to take care of them just like friends and neighbors, like I know they would do to me, guys.
Thank you, Scott. Scott Twardowski, everybody.
Thank you.
Contestant number 4, Jeff Showalter from Broadway, Virginia. Well, Jeff, we're going to have a conversation here in just a moment, but I'd like to give you that opportunity. If there's anybody you'd like to thank or recognize here, now's the time.
Yeah, I sure would. I'd like to thank each and every one for being here today, supporting the livestock industry, and for you judges to take the time out of your day to be here with us. We really appreciate that. I'd also like to thank my sponsors back home, Sand Union Stockyard, Todd and Jeffrey Wackert, and Christina Boyer, Travis Funkhauser, that helps me get to here and propels me to come here each and every year, and it really has been a thrill. Thank you.
Well, let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
Well, the strategy that I use is I know my customer base, and I love to interact with the customers, so I sort the cattle for our stockyard. So I'm down there with the customers, and I keep my cattle in bunches that I think will sell the best. So therefore, I can get the most money for my product, and I think that's the way I use that.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
Could you repeat that, please?
Absolutely. What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
Well, the factors is the industry as a whole, we need to come in a common ground. And I think this will benefit the sellers, because if we all get in a common ground and be natural with everything and put everything together, that benefits the sellers as well as the buyers, in my opinion.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
My role is, when I go in the block, I'm working for the seller as much as I'm working for the buyer. So I've got to sell them as high as I can sell them, but as cheap as I can sell them, because everybody knows the buyer wants a bargain every once in a while, but the seller needs all he can get. And in this market today, we're getting big money for these calves, and I think it's helping the sellers be able to dig out of some places where we're at. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Jeff Showalter, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. You bet.
Contestant number 5 is Barrett Simon from Rosalia, Kansas. Well, Barrett, we're going to have a conversation here, but just before we get started, this is your opportunity, if you'd like to take it, to thank anybody for allowing you to be here.
Sure. No, I appreciate the opportunity to recognize my sponsors, of course. Sean and Dana Mills at Eureka Livestock Sales, as well as Cale and Nicole James from Fairview Livestock Commission, and the Chambers family from CNC Cattle Company. I'd like to congratulate the staff and the membership of the Livestock Marketing Association on another successful convention. It's certainly my pleasure to be here, and I am looking forward to our conversation, Wade.
Let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
So right now it's a lot of fun because for the last several months, the way I've had to prepare, I thought, well, I need to start practicing my $4 mark. And then it became the $5 mark, and now I'm kind of getting nervous because that 6 doesn't seem to roll off your tongue quite as well. And so, but in all seriousness, there are a lot of things that I think an exceptional livestock auctioneer can do to prepare. And I was taught many of those things, like you were, I'm sure, from mentors and individuals that I look up to a great deal. I think one of the most important things to do isn't necessarily at the 11th hour, but it's in our daily life, and that's to be fully vested in whatever business it is. For me, it's the livestock business, right? And that was my passion. That's what encouraged me to jump into the livestock marketing aspect. You know, but for others, it may be cars. It may be benefit auctions. Whatever you're selling, I believe it's important to have a driving passion for that industry. And once you have that, of course, all the homework that we do on our way to sales, check the board, look at local and regional market reports, understand if there are current events that may impact it just today that wouldn't have been reflected in the marketplace yesterday. And so from there, I think the final thing is just make sure that our heads are on straight. You're prepared to be a professional when you sit behind the mic, and you're prepared to execute the sale, not only for the individuals that write our paycheck, but more importantly, the individuals that have the product that we're merchandising.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
Well, that's been something that I think has been ever-changing for the last probably couple of decades. Of course, there's more and more prevalence of, say, forward contract, and I am pleased to see the utilization of video markets if a producer chooses to utilize a forward contract, because that ensures the reason that we're all here in the industry that we all know and love, and that's the auction method of marketing, right? And so that's one thing. As we talk about technology, we talk about forward contracts, those are important. Of course, there's been some changes just here very recently to the LRP program, which I think works very favorably for the brick and mortar facilities that I work in, and so many of my contemporaries that are here work in. That kind of provides not only that price protection, but it can also provide some assurance to the sellers that, hey, I'm not missing dollars by not participating in a forward contract. I have this new tool to utilize, and I can still do business in Eureka, Kansas, or Fairview, Oklahoma, or wherever their regional livestock market is, and feel very, very confident, because they should.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
Well, that's an interesting question. To me, an auctioneer works a lot like a pivot point, as do the markets that we sell in on a weekly basis. An auctioneer can be somebody with an exceptional attitude, an amount of professionalism and passion, as we discussed, and utilize all those things to bring buyers and sellers together and run in a very efficient model. They also have the opportunity to run a not so efficient model. And I think that's what's so refreshing about being here, is we're surrounded by other individuals that are passionate about this business, do choose to do things in a professional manner, and choose to work together and learn from each other to help progress this business forward. And every time I'm around any one of these individuals and several other mentor-type auctioneers away from the contest, it's professional development. And so for me to utilize our pivot point and bring confidence to buyers and sellers in our marketplace, I think that's something valuable that we can provide not only for the livestock marketing industry, but for the livestock production industry as well.
Thank you, Barrett. Barrett Simon, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Contestant number 6, Garrett Nun from Laramie, Wyoming.
How are you, Wade?
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Well, Garrett, we're going to have a conversation here, but just before we start, I'd like to give you this opportunity. If you'd like to thank anybody, sponsors or family, for allowing you to be here, now's your time.
All right, well, thank you. And yes, my name's Garrett Nun, and I would like to take this time to thank Torrington Livestock Markets, Lex Madden, Lander Nicodemus, and Chuck Peterson for the opportunity to go over there and work for them and all of our great customers in Wyoming. And I'd also like to thank my family for coming along and the family at home that are holding down the fort. And with that, I understand you have some questions for me, and I'm ready to have a great conversation.
Good. Let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
Well, that's a very good question, Wade, and I think that's something that's super important in being an auctioneer. Some things that come to my mind when I'm thinking about being a good auctioneer and being prepared for the week would be, looking at our past market reports and seeing what the cattle market's doing. I always check the board, see how the board's shifting. You can look at other local markets and see how their markets are fluctuating, and then looking at the consignment list before you show up there that week and seeing the customers that you're going to go work for. I think that's super important, because then when you get there, you can go look through the yards and look and see all the cattle, how they're sorted up, how they're going to come into the ring. And when those cattle do come into the ring, by the time you've been there, you've read the consignment list, you went out and looked at them, you see how they're sorted. You've already seen them once. This isn't the first time you're seeing them. You can represent the customer and how they run their whole operation through shots, protocols, and everything that you would have read on those deals. And so I think that's something that's super important. And, like I had stated earlier, market value is probably one of the most important things that you can do to serve your customer as well. So, and then when you get there, making sure that you're checking out the whole crowd, you're seeing what buyers are there, and just be ready to engage in some competitive bidding on some good livestock.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
Well, there's a lot of things that go into selling your livestock, and there's a lot of avenues. And I think as livestock marketers, we got to be there to serve the people that we're working for and keep them in business. And so, there's all natural programs that we can put cattle in. How many days are they weaned? And, every production system is just a little bit different. Where I come from in Wyoming would probably definitely be different than what's here. And so, as our job as livestock marketers and representatives, we need to go out and see what works for them. How do we get them to the barn? And, now there's all sorts of technology. Online sales are going on. There's a private treaty. But what we really need to drive home is when these people come to the live auctions, they are, plenty of bidders are there engaging in competitive bidding. And that's how you're really going to get the highest dollar and maximize all your hard work that you put in throughout the year. These producers put in 364 days a year of work, and when they sit down, those are some important seconds. So we need to maximize the time that they are there, spend the ring, doing our homework and making sure that we represent all their cattle well, so then they want to come choose the live auction method of marketing.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
Well, Wade, I think a lot of things go into being a strong auctioneer and working for your customers. Some things that I think of right away, the physical chant of an auctioneer is really important to engage the whole crowd, to keep people interested, keep things clear, bid catching ability, how you execute the sale. And, that's only being an asset to the people that are bringing their livestock there. But more importantly, and I've already hinted on this a little bit, but knowing the market value of those livestock is the most important thing you can do. And like I said, you've got to do your homework. You've got to see what's going on the board, live trade, cash trade, how things are going. And, one thing that I've been very lucky to do is be around some great leaders in the livestock marketing industry. And I think as a whole, that really separates it, and how you treat people and how you handle their whole livelihood is something that I take very seriously. And, that's how I give back to them and contribute them and push the whole industry forward and keep them happy and keep them in business, because as long as they're in business, we can stay in business, and that's really what drives the food in the United States. We're 2% feeding the whole world, and so we need to work all we can, give them 110% all the time, so then we can keep the livestock industry afloat. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Garrett. This is Garrett Nun.
Thank you, Wade.
Contestant number 7, Ethan Schuette from Washington, Kansas.
Afternoon, Wade.
Hey, buddy. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Well, Ethan, we're going to have a conversation here in just a moment. Before we get started, I'd like to give you an opportunity to thank any sponsors or family if you'd like to do that.
Absolutely, Wade. I sure appreciate that opportunity. Folks, I've got an awful lot to be thankful for. First and foremost, my family, my beautiful wife and 3 sons that weren't able to be here with us this week, but I'd like to thank them for not standing behind me so much, but standing beside me in everything that I do and being the reason for what I do. I'd like to thank an outstanding set of sponsors that I get the opportunity to work for every week, and the consigners as well that are represented at those respective markets. Representing them here this week and at home on a weekly and daily basis as well. Livestock Marketing Association, what an opportunity to stand on this platform and represent this industry this week and going forward. Thank you for that. And Wade, you know, I've known you for a long time. Within this last year, I've had the opportunity to get to know Wade quite a bit more. He's always willing to take a phone call, and just a champion person. Not only a champion auctioneer, but a champion person as well. And thank you for that, Wade.
Thank you. Well, let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
Preparation for each sale, Wade. Obviously, preparation is key in anything that you do, correct? So following that market on a weekly basis, you know, I've had the opportunity and the chance to sit behind the microphone 4 days a week on a weekly basis. And so I feel like that opportunity in representing those 4 livestock markets gives me a great opportunity to prepare myself on the day-to-day, know where that market is and should be and where it might be going. So preparation in that regard, and then knowing what cattle are coming in to each respective sale, knowing who might be looking for those cattle, and helping direct them and direct sellers as well would be how I'd prepare.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
There's many factors that are shaping that future, and to just touch on a few, we would talk about the industry shrinking all the time and having less and less producers and less young people. So getting into that a little deeper and figuring out how to get those young people involved, how to make it a little bit easier for them to get involved is essential. And I would tell everybody, in the world that we are in today, everyone believes they can be their own marketer. And I would disagree with that, and in fact was blessed to watch a video here a while back of a man that we all know and respect in this industry. Ben Hale said it very well, and saying that commission is the cheapest thing that you pay for. And so explaining that and the competitive price discovery that we achieve in these auction markets is how I would push forward to make those young people successful.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
We're kind of the face, aren't we? So it's a very important role in strengthening it and unifying going forward. But on a given day at an auction market, you're not only representing your employer, but you're representing every consignor that's selling cattle through that auction ring that day. And so that's a platform that, bar none, is right up there that you ought to be grasping that opportunity to talk about things in a progressive way, and to support the future of animal agriculture as a whole.
Very good. Thank you, Ethan. Ethan Schuette, everybody.
Thank you, Wade. Appreciate you.
Contestant number 8, Ryan Dean from Roland, Oklahoma.
Mr. Wade.
Good to see you, Ryan.
Good to see you, man.
We're going to have a quick conversation here, but before we get started, I want to give you an opportunity to address anybody that has helped you be here, any sponsors or family.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to thank Fort Smith Stockyards. You know, without them, I wouldn't be here. This is so cool. I'm just tickled to death to be here. I've had an awesome weekend and week. It's great. So thanks to Fort Smith Stockyards, Sam Chandler, Scotty Smith, Butch Herbert. Without them, I wouldn't be here. So,
Well, let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
I just try to use the best of my knowledge. Knowledge of product's key. I mean, that's why it's one of our, that's why we're getting scored on in this contest, mainly is on knowledge of product as well. That's why it's on there. You know, knowledge of product, you try to do the best you can for that producer day in and day out, week in and week out, and I think you're going to be okay. I think that's a very successful tool.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
You know, there's new ways and protocols and stuff like that they're doing all the time to make this industry better. It's growing day by day. It's growing year by year. Everything's getting better, and there's so many places in play, and LMA is doing a lot of good things for this industry, and they keep on doing it. And I just see it can continue to grow, and I think all that the LMA is doing is for sure really key and really good factor for the industry going forward.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
And you try to do everything you can for producers and farmers. I mean, that's the whole reason that we're here. Without them, we don't have a job. I mean, so you can't, as long as you're trying to do everything you can for them and keep this going, you're contributing to the livestock market industry.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Ryan Dean.
Hey, thank y'all.
Contestant number 9 is Ryan Konynenbelt from Fort Macleod, Alberta. Good to see you, Ryan. Good to be here. Ryan, we're going to start a conversation here in just a minute, but I'd like to give you this opportunity. If you'd like to thank or address anybody, now's a good time.
Well, thank you very much, Wade. It is indeed a pleasure to be here this afternoon. I'd like to quickly thank my wife, Wilena, for making the trip here, and I see that my parents and my sister, they must have slid in just on time, so I'd like to thank them for making the trip all the way from Alberta, as well as all the friends and family that are supporting me at home, as well as my partners and my sponsors back home, Southern Alberta Livestock Exchange and Cowtown Livestock Exchange.
Ryan, let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
So in my opinion, a successful auction for cattle in our local auction market starts with the consigners being given a heads up on what's going on. We try to line up the delivery of all the cattle. We try to get all them cattle in a timely manner. A lot of our cattle are sold with an overnight stand, so them cattle come in the day before. And so we do all the sorting the night before. We set up our sale order so that it is a smooth running sale and that the buyers can be buying similar type cattle in a timely fashion, filling up orders, getting them cattle on the road as soon as possible. Animal husbandry is a big issue in Canada and something that we strive to achieve every day.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
So there's a lot of factors that come into livestock marketing, And with the livestock auction, there's the live method of marketing, there's the video method of marketing, and there's pros and cons for each one. So the methods that these sellers can think about and that we need to promote with them is to make them as much money as possible. What's unique in our business is, yes, we're trying to make ourselves money, but at the same time, we're working for these producers. They need to make as much money as we can make them. So when we work with these producers, we get them to do things that are going to add value to their cattle, whether it's a vaccination program, a weaning program, making them use breeding programs that are going to improve their cattle and desirable for the buyers, and that way we can help them increase their bottom line.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
As an auctioneer, we've got a unique role in what we do each and every day, in that we've got to be the transparent middleman between the buyers and the sellers. So we're working for a seller each and every day. We're trying to market these cattle to the best of our ability, while also working with a buyer to ensure that their jobs are completed to the full satisfaction that they need to be. And I think as an auctioneer, the unity between the buyers and the sellers, the buyers, the producers, as well as our local community, it goes from cow-calf operators, backgrounding operators, feeder finishers, down to the packing houses. The unity that we need to use is more important than ever. I know through the meetings that we've had here in the past week with the LMA, the Common Ground panel, the Common Ground discussions that they're having here in the United States, I think that is tremendous. It's something that we as Canadians need to take notes from, and I think that really is going to shape the future of this industry.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Ryan Konynenbelt. Contestant number 10, Seth Schneider from Hershey, Nebraska.
Wade, how's it going?
Good. Good to see you, Seth.
Yeah, good to see you.
Well, Seth, we're going to have a quick conversation. Before we get into that, I want to give you an opportunity to thank any sponsors or family that have allowed you to be here.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank my sponsors back home, the North Platte Stockyards and Ogallala Livestock, Jay Nordhausen and Lance Van Winkle at both of those barns.
Seth, let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
The strategies I use to ensure a successful auction is mostly just educating yourself, doing my research, checking local regional market reports in the area, and then, I mean, there's several forms of social media you can check on, and make sure you're in the market on every draft.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
Can you repeat the question, Wade?
Yes. What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
Well, I think a big factor that's shaping the future of livestock auctions is obviously these EID tags that we're starting to run into. And I think by no means I don't want everybody to have to put an ear tag and everything, but on a voluntary basis, you know, those EID tags, the traceability that you can get, every producer in the country is trying to make the best beef end product that they can. And I think the traceability on that, some options to be able to get some data back on how your cattle performed in the feed yard and at the packing plant, I think that's pretty beneficial to a producer.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
Well, I think the auctioneer is the heart and soul of the livestock industry, and I think just, you know, all these guys want to do their best, and everybody working as hard as they can every draft, and I think that is a good part of a strong auction market.
Thank you, Seth. Seth Schneider.
Thanks.
Contestant number 11, Ross Parks from New Concord, Ohio. Well, Ross, we're going to have a conversation here in just a minute. I want to give you a second, though, to thank any sponsors or family if you'd like to.
Yeah, absolutely. First off, I'd like to thank my mom and my dad and my stepmom for making the trip out, and also my supporters and producers back home to let me represent them each and every week, as long as my sponsors.
Ross, let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
So the strategies that I use is a lot of communication with the cell phone and everything. Make sure that I contact my buyers and the consigners to make sure they're going to bring them and make sure they're represented at the highest value we can. And we also use social media a lot to promote our sale.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
So some factors that I'm seeing is that we are getting smaller and smaller herds in our country, and it's going to be driving our price. And I think that we need to somehow give back to our youth, and so that we can get them in and they can help us support and grow into the future.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
So as an auctioneer, you have to communicate with buyers and sellers and listen to their concerns that you can take back to a state level, a federal level, to even the LMA, to get to make sure their issues are taken care of in the long run. And it can also benefit us in the future of marketing into livestock into the future.
Thank you. Ross Parks, everybody. Contestant number 12, Andrew Sylvester from Westmoreland, Kansas.
Hey, good afternoon, Wade. How are you? Good to see you. Good to be here.
Andrew, we're going to have a conversation here in just a minute, but I'd like to give you a moment to acknowledge any of your family or your supporters or maybe fans at home that you'd like to thank.
I'd love to take that opportunity. My family's here with me, my wife Laura, our sons. I'd also like to recognize the folks at home, my family and friends there. I want to thank them for their support, and I wouldn't be here without my sponsors at Manhattan Commission Company. It's a great crew there, and I'm happy to be part of that family and that workplace there.
Well, let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
From my perspective, I think before the sale starts, I think there's many things that need to come into place. I think checking the cattle market. We're in such a interesting time, ladies and gentlemen, where it seems like the prices from last week or yesterday, they can change dramatically with the way that the board and whatnot is. And so I think studying the cattle market's important. I think checking in with buyers, letting them know what we do have coming, and then always to make sure and coach up our consigners and our customers prior to sale day, and that includes the proper fill on the cattle when they should be there, making sure that they include all the information that we can give on to our buyers there is the best way to have the best results when selling cattle.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think we've seen a lot of things change within the industry. For me, I think at our local auction market, something that's changed what we do and how we do business is the opportunity for folks to bid online. We use the LMA platform there at our auction market. That's probably the biggest change I've seen, and I think that will continue. You know, several years ago, we didn't have a lot of action on there, but I think from week to week, it can range from people buying baby calves to all the way up to pairs and whatnot. And so I think that's probably been the biggest thing that has changed within our business locally at Manhattan Commission Company.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
Well, I tell you what, as an auctioneer, you have a voice, and you're behind the microphone, and so with that comes a lot of responsibility, and it is a great opportunity. You know, whether you're the WLAC champion or not, you're a voice for the industry, and so every single week we have the opportunity to conduct business behind the microphone, but I tell you what, you're an example, you're a leader, and you have the opportunity to go ahead and share a lot of things with the public that most people don't have an opportunity to do. I think the biggest thing recently now, you know, Troy alluded to it, or excuse me, Ty Thompson alluded to it in the Common Ground Summit. You know, that's a great initiative, and we as auctioneers have the opportunity to go ahead and let folks know about that within our communities and throughout the country to help that initiative be prosperous.
Thank you, Andrew.
Wade, it's been a pleasure. I look forward to selling tomorrow, and it's just great to be part of this contest here today.
Andrew Sylvester. Contestant number 13, Trey Narramore from Portales, New Mexico.
Hello, Wade. Good to see you, Trey. How are you? I'm sure. Yeah. Hello, everybody.
Trey, we're going to have a conversation here in just a minute, but I want to give you just a moment, if you'd like to take it, time to acknowledge your supporters and maybe your sponsors.
Well, you know, I'm from Portales, New Mexico, just on the eastern half of the state there, and I work for Clovis Livestock Auction there in Clovis, New Mexico, as well as Lone Star Stockyards there in Wildorado, Texas. And man, without them, I couldn't do what I do. So happy to be here, and it's been a lot of fun so far.
Well, let's get into that conversation, and let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
Well, in my opinion, I think the speed of the sale is very important. Knowledge of the product and how they line the sale up. You know, in our part of the world, in the fall, we'll sell lots of calves, obviously, and in the spring, sell a lot of wheat cattle. So making sure we get those cattle in there in a timely manner and sorted up right, and get them sold, and make sure those cattle have a good way up for the producer. So, yes, sir.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
Well, one more time, tell me that again.
Yeah, what factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
You know, maybe we've been talking about this all week, and going back to some of the things that we were talking about this morning with young producers. I liked some of the conversation that we were having about, you know, maybe some of the tax cuts and things like that, and getting young people involved, because to be honest with you, the ones that I go to most of the time, and for the past several years, I've been the youngest guy sitting in there. So, you know, that's been kind of something I had to learn with, but I think if we make a solid effort through lots of different stuff, I mean, beef demand is at an all-time high. Cattle prices are at all-time high, and with some of that incentive, financial incentive, maybe we could get some of those younger guys in there, and not saying they're not already there, but I think with social media and things like that, more of that can happen, and I think that would be an extreme positive for our industry.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
Well, Wade, I mean, I every week I go, and I in our part of the world, I make a pretty good sized circle. I'm from the western half of the United States, live in the eastern half, or New Mexico, I mean. So I get phone calls from all over, and as everybody kind of knows my schedule around there, and they'll know at what time, most of the time I'm driving, so they'll call me and how's the sale, and you know, I think that most of the time is a big benefit to them, because I can maybe say, well, I think, you know, 2 weeks from now when everything dries up, or, you know, I think cash on your 6-weight steers would be really good, you know, or man, it's going to rain, and maybe you don't want your wheat cattle bogging down in the wheat for next weekend. Maybe it'd be a good time to get them in here. The board's at $4, and we've seen a lot of that lately. So anyway, that's how I feel about that. So.
Good, thank you, Trey. Trey Narramore.
Thank you.
Contestant number 14, A.J. Austin from Newport, Arkansas. Good to see you, A.J.
Yes, sir. Good to see you, Wade.
A.J., we're going to have a conversation here in just a moment, but before we get started, I want to give you a moment to acknowledge any of your sponsors or family, if you'd like to do that.
I would. I'd like to acknowledge and thank my beautiful wife who's made the trip with me and always stands behind me every step of the way in this journey. That's just behind every good man's a stronger woman, and I thank her for that. And obviously, like I said, my sponsors that put me to work each and every week, giving me a job to do and letting me sell cattle at their market. So thank you guys back home.
Well, A.J., let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
The strategies that I would use to prepare for a successful auction would be to, I believe, to stay engaged with both sides of the aisle, stay engaged with buyers, because yes, we represent the seller and the producers put their product in front of us to sell. But if I don't know who I'm selling it to, then I'm already handicapped before we go. But equally staying in touch with the producers, and I believe communication is key to all of that. Is just communicate with buyers, communicate with the sellers, and then also the market owners to see what information he might have that I might need to be able to sit behind a mic and make the sale better as we go.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
I believe that the digital era, the internet age, is shaping the livestock marketing. It's so much different than it was, just 10 years ago or 20 years ago, that they can put their cattle, like where I'm at in the southeast there. Back when I was younger, the value-added programs didn't mean near as much. Just because in smaller markets we were confined to only the buyers, I guess the guys that were in the know, your backgrounders that would have been further east over into the Ozarks or coming out of Oklahoma and stuff, they would come over and they would buy those cattle that had money left on the table, not being castrated, not being vaccinated, not having the work done to them. And now that with the internet age, we can open up those buyers to a whole new set or the sellers to a whole new audience of buyers to buy their cattle and put some profit on the table for them.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
I believe the auctioneer's role contributes to that. I believe we're a pivotal point of the whole thing. Without us staying engaged and involved on both sides of it, I believe that the livestock industry, if you don't have good, strong, and reputable and passionate auctioneers, then I believe we're wasting our time. Us guys have to come at it and love what we do and be passionate about the market, the industry, and the producers, the sellers, and I believe all that. If we will hold our part together, I don't know. Like I said from the beginning, is we kind of walk the line between buyers and sellers and the market owners and find that middle ground. And if we're doing our job correctly and we're passionate about it, then we can strengthen the industry as a whole by, just holding that ground. Thank you, Wade. Thank you, everyone.
A.J. Austin. Contestant number 15, Michael Imbrogno from Turlock, California. Welcome, Michael. Well, Michael, we're going to start in a conversation here in just a minute. Before we start, I'd like to give you a moment if you'd like to acknowledge any of your sponsors or family. Now's a good time.
Yes, I'd like to take this time and thank my family for being here. I'd also like to take this time and thank my member markets that sponsored me and give me the opportunity to be here and represent them. And to the judges, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us. Thank you.
Michael, let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
The strategies that I would use to prepare for a successful auction is, being in the know of what's going on, knowing what your product is worth and knowing how to get it to where it needs to be, knowing what's going on around you, and just being a student of the industry and being an extension of the consignor on sale day. Because I feel as an auctioneer, it is very important for me to be their voice and their face and their representative when they hit that ring.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
There's a number of factors I believe that are benefiting the livestock auction industry for our consignors, and one of those being technology. For the last 10 to 15, 20 years, we've had technology come on with online bidding. We're able to use that as a marketing tool for our markets and for our consignors. It broadcasts their cattle to a broader buying base and gives them an opportunity to maximize on their potential and creates more opportunity for true price discovery and gives them an opportunity to showcase their product. Another thing that has come along in the last 5, 6, 10 years is all these third-party verification programs, IMI Global, where food comes from and stuff like that, different incentivizing packages that help incentivize the consignor's product and helps them maximize their product. And, really another thing that has come along that I think is going to be a great asset, and it started in April, is this Common Ground Summit to help, keep these generational operations in business and really keep the livestock industry thriving and growing for further generations to come.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
How I see my role is, we are the face, we are the voice for that consignor, we are the extension of that consignor. And so it's very important for us to be in the know of what's going on in the market and knowing what's going on within the industry, what's going on within the world to benefit that consignor. We have to know what the cattle are worth, know how to get it to point A to point B, and really be, that person's advocate on sale day. So I feel that our role is very important, and it's something that we don't take lightly. We in this business have a lot of responsibility on our shoulders, because when that consignor comes to the ring, and that very well could be their check for that whole year or 6 months or whatever. So we have to be able to maximize their potential and really do a great job for our consignors. And I think we're, doing a great job of promoting the cattle, promoting that consignor, and promoting true price discovery and being a voice for the livestock auction and the livestock industry. Thank you.
Very good. Michael Imbrogno. Contestant number 16, Troy Robinette from Decatur, Texas. Well, Troy, we're going to have a conversation here in just a moment. Before we get started, though, I'd like to give you a chance to acknowledge any sponsors or family.
Well, Wade, I want to use this opportunity to thank you. For those of you who don't know my friend Wade Leish, what they say about that belt buckle that he wears is that it amplifies who you are. It doesn't change you. And over the past year, my friend Wade has not changed. Before, don't cry, you'll make me cry. Before this contest, he was an advocate for everything that we believe in this convention. And through his championship, he's been a big-time advocate for everything and us as competitors. He's had to say no to the powers that be sometimes, and sometimes that's hard. And I think that you all should know that who you see today as a champion was who he was last year when he was in this chair. So if you could please give my friend Wade Leish a big round of applause for being an advocate for all of us.
All right, well, let's have a conversation here. Let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
A fantastic question. A big part of preparing for an auction is getting the groundwork of your people in line, making sure that the right people are there and set up. Being in sale management on the replacement female end, when I'm not out there doing anything, I feel I've done it right. Because those cowboys that are in the back that you don't have to micromanage, your ringmen that are out front, the auctioneer that you hire that sits next to you in the block, if you're not doing anything to point them in any direction, you've made the right choice. So a big part for us is making sure that those people are in place prior to the auction so the auction runs smooth.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
The internet. You're going to see the internet tomorrow for the first time. Coming from the auto auction world, we have internet at every single sale. How can a seller benefit from that is now worldwide, nationwide. I'm at an auto auction, we'll sell to Mexico all the time. In these markets, we've got to get away from that old mentality of, well, we just want to sell to these guys here. Because I've seen it, the ones, and we'll see it tomorrow, that internet will be lighting up. Probably guys from all over the United States bidding on those calves. So to change the market in the future, we have to accept that simulcast bidding is playing a big role in the live auction trade.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
I would love to see, as an auctioneer, what we do here is we don't have a presence right now on YouTube. The boys and I, we don't watch a whole lot of TV at our house, and you've been at our house, so you see that we play outside all the time. We're outside on dirt bikes and everything. We don't have a presence on YouTube. So one thing that I would like to do if selected world champion is create that presence on YouTube, to be able to tell our story and push our agenda away from what everybody else wants and says that it is. So when we have that presence on YouTube, it's something that I would like to cultivate this year, but not just keep it this year, pass it on to the next champion, work with the LMA and the production company to make it where it could be profitable with paid advertising, with commercials or in the videos. So one aspect that I would like to see if selected world champion would be to expand us into the YouTube realm where you follow around the world champion, you get to talk to the producers, you get to talk to the sellers, and it's edited in a professional format that could then be put out so our voice as livestock marketers is then heard to the world from our perspective.
Thank you, Trey. Troy Robinette. Contestant number 17, Marshall Tingle from Nicholasville, Kentucky.
How are you?
Good. Marshall, we're going to have a conversation in just a moment, but I'd like to first give you time to acknowledge any sponsors or family that you'd like.
Absolutely. Thank you for that opportunity, Wade. Much like the turtle on the post, I didn't get here by myself, and I've had a great crew of people and a great family that have supported me and pushed me to be who I am today, and I just can't say thank you enough to all of them. As far as to my sponsors, I want to say the huge thank you to the Perry Stockyards and the Arnett family for everything that they do for me, and as well as United Producers, Harnett, Kentucky, Brian Lavelle.
Let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
So I prepare, we sell 2 sales a week, and I prepare by keeping up to date with everything that's going on in the market, whether that be trends in the board, whether that be world and current events going on. Just try to stay up on top and stay abreast of everything that's going on, as well as keep in mind what's going on with my producers, whether it be on a local level, if they've had, say, a death in the family or a herd dispersal or something like that. Just try to keep my head on straight and to do the best job that I can to help them market their livestock and do the best job that I can do, both to represent myself and my markets back at home.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
So I think there's many factors that are shaping the future of the livestock industry, and I think sellers can benefit in many ways. As far as the actual market itself, you've got a lot of things going on with your video loads and the introduction of your internet sales, click to bid on some of your livestock deals as well. I think there's a huge deal going on right now with change in hands of your farmers and lack of numbers of your cattle being produced and producers producing those cattle. So I think as far as a producer, you can really cash in on that opportunity, just the basic supply and demand of it, and just stay on top.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
So I think my role as an auctioneer has a huge effect on things. As far as I am the face and you and I are the face of the industry, as far as when somebody comes in and sees the market, goes to market their livestock, they're the ones, or you and I are the ones who are entrusting us, or they are entrusting us with their livelihood there. And I think we just have to do the best job that we can do to do the best that we can for them. And yeah.
Good. Marshall Tingle, everybody.
Thank you.
Contestant number 18, Marcus Kent from Denellen, Florida. Marcus, we're going to have a conversation here in just a minute. Before we get started, though, I want to give you time to acknowledge anybody that has helped you get here.
Thanks, Colonel. Yes, sir, I sure would like to acknowledge my family, my wife that came out here with me this weekend,
My family has taken care of all the horses and the cattle at home, and of course my sponsor, Burton Bellamy at Ocala Stockyard, gives me an opportunity to do what I love each and every week.
Marcus, let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
Strategies, I would say, of course, warming up and whatnot, keeping your voice healthy. I like to visit with people in the restaurant, with the buyers and with the sellers, and kind of ask them what's going on and what programs and vaccination records that they're keeping on their cattle, you know, and just talking. Rainfall may be good, what your crop's doing. I just like to visit with the consigners.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
I would say the factors shaping the market would be the loss of land, especially where I'm from. The housing developments are coming in, and I'm not sure there is benefit to that, but maybe just more money in their pocket at that point.
After they sell the land. As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
Can you repeat that question, please?
Yeah. As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
I see my role in that is getting the producer the most money that he can get for his cattle, putting them in front of a live crowd, live bidders, to where they're not just taking the one offer they get from a guy in the country, but they're getting the most money offered that day, market value that day.
Well, thank you, Marcus. Marcus Kent.
Thank you, Wade.
Contestant number 19, Justin Maben from Bakersfield, California.
Good to see you too. How's it going? Good. Good. Just wanted to just take a quick moment, recognize the Livestock Marketing Association, everything good folks do for us livestock markets in the industry. Of course, a big thank you to my sponsors. My market is a family market. A lot of my family came out here, so a big thank you to my family for coming out. I need to say a special thanks to my younger brother. He got the short end of the stick. So we got cattle coming in, a big yearling sale this week, and he had to stay back and do all of our work. So big thank you to him, but with having said that, I'm ready for my first question.
Well, Justin, let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
You know, it's all about knowledge of your product, the knowledge of cattle. So say this week we have about 4 loads of yearlings coming in. I know the country they came off of, the condition they're going to be, the vaccination programs, everything you could possibly know about the animals you're going to sell, and that's what makes them bring the top dollar. And if you could announce that vac program, where they came from, the condition, are they coming off grass, are they coming from a background yard, it makes all the difference, and to the consignor it really does too.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
You know, it's great. Like I always said, sellers could benefit. The livestock market is a one-stop shop. Whether you got one head or thousands of head, you could go to your local livestock auction market. Those cattle come off, we professionally fine-tune sort them in the way that they'll bring the most money. When they go across the scale, they're getting weighed on a certified scale, so you don't have to worry about the scale on the ranch being a little off. And then the best part of it all is instead of one person coming out to the country to bid on your cattle, you're getting multiple people to bid on your cattle. True price discovery, that's where it's at. And when those cattle are sold, you're guaranteed a safe, secure payment. You're dealing with a licensed and bonded company.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Sure. As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
You know, I am very passionate about what I do, and the reason is I grew up on a ranch as a kid. I grew up on ranches between California and Oregon. I know what the consignor goes through on a day-to-day basis, what the stocker guy goes through on a day-to-day basis, and if I could provide such a service as this, a true price discovery, to people like that, to me, that's really where it's at. That's my last question. Thank you, Wade. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Justin Maben.
Nice job. Thank you, Sean. Good to see you.
Contestant number 20, Brennan Jack from Verdon, Manitoba.
I've got my green tie on for luck.
Well, we're going to get started with the conversation here in just a minute. Before we start, though, I want to give you a moment to acknowledge any sponsors or family that helped you get here.
You bet. I want to thank Brian and Lee Nielsen, my sponsors back home. I want to thank my parents. They weren't able to travel down this year. They're cheering me on online. And all the folks, my crew that traveled here to support me. And I also want to thank Paul and Beth Fouts, my local sponsor from Dunlap, that gave us a very nice gift for us contestants. So it was very, very nice. We appreciate them so much. And thank you for being such a great champion this year. And you know, a good competitor. We competed against each other. We've had a lot of good times, and I'm just grateful to know you. So thank you, Wade.
Thanks, Brennan. Brennan, let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
Well, that's one that we talk about all the time, and I'm a planner. I like to make sure that we have everything planned ahead of time. We actually just hosted the Canadian Livestock Auctioneer Championship just a month ago, had 5,100 head. So it just didn't start the day before. It was months of planning going into it. We're already starting to plan for our fall run coming up, making sure that our staff are knowledgeable. We always hold a animal handling clinic in the summertime, as of course we all know a lot of new staff come. And our priority is to make sure that our number one is that our cattle are handled correctly. And we handle a lot of other species, sheep, goats, different things. We had an exotic sale with water buffalo and yak. I had to Google what to do. So they are tricky little things. So that's what we do. Try to be as prepared as possible. We know things happen. We know that there's going to be things that we don't like to deal with that happen 2 minutes into a sale. But if you're on our team, it is a team, and we all try to make sure that we know, start to finish, how it's going to be. Do there a little bit higher expectations coming from me than some other places? Maybe. And there's probably a few of my staff think I'm a little hard to work for. But when the customers come to the ring and you come to our sale, there's certainly an expectation that needs to be met. And I think that we all agree that as good a job as you can do to make sure your facility's clean, make sure that your cattle are marketed the best as possible. I think that's what we all pay commission for. And I think that's one thing that we try and make sure we do the best job we can. Wade.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
Could you repeat that question?
Yeah. What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
Well, I mean, as we know, we're in a record low number of cattle that are across the whole North America. And I know that the work that the LMA is doing with the Common Ground Summit to really see that without our customers that we're going to have, that they're our livelihood. And we're losing customers left and right. And we know that, of course, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that record low numbers, very high demand is creating an extremely robust market. But we need to plan ahead. What happens with a third of our customers that are over their age of retirement exit the business? And the work that the Livestock Market Association is doing through their Common Ground Summit is just absolutely fantastic. There's so many moving parts in our industry, whether it's us as marketers, producers, feeders, packers. We tend to not get along at all the time. But I really, really have to commend the Livestock Markets Association for gathering people together. And I'm going to explain it like we have currently. We're in a bit of a drought up there, and we've got some wildfires going on. And what happens is it doesn't matter what political side you're on, what faith you are, whatever it is, we got a wildfire. It just seems to all stop and everybody pulls together to try and get the fire stopped. And that's exactly what's happening in the industry right now. And the Livestock Market Association has seen the smoke coming. They know that there's a wildfire coming, and they know that if we don't get ahead of it, we're going to be in some tough times. So I have to commend the Livestock Marketing Association. And to answer your question, I really think is if those producers stick with it, encourage the next generation to be a part of it, I think there's no better place to be than in the agriculture industry in the years to come.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
Well, I think as an auctioneer, we can bring people together in a positive way. I think through the many years that I've been here, I came dangerously close to winning this contest in 2014. I was a half a point away from winning the truck. And I'm so glad that I didn't win that pickup truck. At that time, I really thought I knew what I was doing. But when you look back over a decade now, the amount that it took me to grow as an auctioneer, as a marketer, and as a person developing is tenfold. So the things that go on at these conventions, the people that you meet as a Livestock Market Association member, you can't buy that with money. You can't pick up the phone to a world champion in the middle of the night and you have a question and they answer the call by your first name. And that's something that for me as an auctioneer, we can bring the people together. We can show our talents not only as a bid caller, but as someone that's okay to have an interview, okay to take you through the good times and the hard times. And I'm just so glad that this is my profession and my livelihood. I appreciate your time, and thank you so much, judges and everyone here. Thank you.
Brandon Jack, everybody. Contestant number 21, Colvin W. Connell from Willard, New Mexico.
Good afternoon, Wade. How are you, sir?
Doing well.
Good.
Well, Colvin, we'll have a conversation here in just a minute. Before we get started, I want to give you time to thank any sponsors or supporters that you'd like to.
Sure, absolutely. I'd like to start by thanking my sponsors, Roswell Livestock Auction, the Wooten family, Tuya Livestock Auction, the Hargrave family, and Cattleman's Livestock Auction, Bucky Russell, Brandon Major, and Elijah Padilla. I'd also like to thank my wife and my mom and dad for being my support. So,
very good. Well, let's start that conversation and let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
you know, I try to watch the markets week in, week out. We're in the cattle business, and so I stay in tune that way. But going down the road, I mean, you've got all this access to watch the markets, and so I use that quite a bit. And being there week in, week out, I feel like I stay up with it pretty good. So,
what factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
I think one of the mainest factors in our part of the world is for the seller is having a good background program, having a good shop program. Not all of them are able to background the cattle, but the vaccination program to me is one of the mainest deals because it affects everybody on down the line. And so I would say the vaccination program be the most important for the seller.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
Can you repeat that?
Sure. As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
I think by interacting with the people, the consigners, and being a spokesperson for us. I mean, I think we see we're around a lot of different people every week, and I feel like that's one of our strong suits as being an auctioneer is being able to talk to them people and let them know what the market's doing and how to help them market their cattle better.
Good.
Sir.
All right. Calvin W. Connell. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Go this way over here.
Okay.
Contestant number 22, Steve Godert from Templeton, California.
Hello, Wade. Great to see you, Steve. Great seeing you too, my friend. How are you?
Good. Well, Steve, we're going to have a conversation, but before we do, I'll give you a moment if you'd like to thank any sponsors or supporters.
Yeah, absolutely. First off and foremost, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I know I've worn out some guardian angels, but without him, I wouldn't be where I'm at. And of course, my beautiful wife, Sarah. who takes care of me. My sponsor barn, 101 Livestock Auction in Aromas, California, Mr. Jim Warren. I'd also like to give a big thank you to Dunlap Livestock Auction, the Shaven family, Will Epperly, and the entire crew. This has just been a first-class opportunity. And thank you, of course, to the Livestock Marketing Association for representing, supporting, and communicating with the entire livestock marketing industry.
Let's get started, Steve. Let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
As an auctioneer, I have had an opportunity to manage a market, so that'll go a little bit separate, but I'll speak specifically as an auctioneer. One of the big things is communication. I like to have communication with the sale barn, kind of know what we have, what the order is looking like, how many cattle we have coming in. If there's anything that I need to do, if I need to maybe reach out to some buyers and just ensure that they're going to have a presence there. Knowledge of the market is a big one too. I know that there's a lot of volatility in markets, and so you want to be up to par for not what last week or last month, but kind of see what the market is trending. And I think it's good to just have that communication. And one of the biggest things is, as an auctioneer, be fresh, make sure that you're hydrated, have some water, because, that's the preparation for that. Every animal that runs in front of you, that's somebody's livelihood, and they've trusted you to market that. And I think that the making sure that the quality of the animals are all parallel inside of the ring, don't just rush in there, try to get through it, but make sure that you really kind of see what they are, make sure that the weights are right. Make sure that, if the producers take time to write down the cards, what the shots are, that's part of marketing, is make sure that you explain that to the buyers, to the people that are there, that, hey, these are these cattle, and represent them to the best of their ability of what these cattle are. So those are some of the things that I would do to make sure that everything runs smoothly.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
There's a lot of factors that are shaping livestock auctions. I think that one of the biggest things right now is the shortage of cattle throughout. We're in unprecedented times right now. The demand is high and the supply is low. There's a lot of things that the Livestock Marketing Association is doing to ensure that we can get producers, young producers. The producer profitability is a big deal, to try to get that to where that the producers have as much as they possibly can to continue those operations. Making sure that we have, value-added programs, things that the consumers know to expand the consumer bases. And as far as the livestock auction, that's going to drive, the more producers we have, the more cattle we have, that is going to be the things that drive the cattle to the sale markets.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
Man, that's something there that whenever somebody brings cattle in, that's a big day, and so I think that the position that you have as an auctioneer is you need to go back, and that kind of goes back to question number one, is how you prepare for that, is you got to make sure that you do all that you can to ensure the top dollar and the most value for those cattle. And whether they have one head, a few head, 1,000 head, whatever it is, that's livelihood. They work all year long. Whether they're calving in the snow or moving cattle in the heat, they bring their cattle that day knowing that the most value for those cattle are going to be right there. So you have to make sure that you just take the time, that you move forward, you market the cattle correctly, and that you get the most value for those dollars per head for the cattle. Good. Awesome. Thank you very much, Wade. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you, guys.
Stephen Godert.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Contestant number 23, Neil Barrett from Weber, Kansas.
Good to see you, Wade.
Neil, we're going to get started the conversation, but before we do, I want to give you a moment to acknowledge any sponsors or family that helped you get here.
Yep, thank you, Wade. I'd like to thank my sponsors at home, Mankato Livestock Incorporated, Mankato, Kansas, Sylvan Sales Commission, Sylvan Grove, Kansas, the Unionville Livestock Market, Unionville, Missouri, and the Creston Livestock Market in Creston, Iowa, local sponsor of the Lehan family. Wade, I'd like to say thank you for being such a great ambassador and speaker and representing the industry so well over the past year.
Thank you. Let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
So at home, I mean, as a market owner, to ensure a successful sale, so we get cattle in prior to. Before that, we make sure the pens are completely clean, sanitary. Get the cattle in, make sure they're fed, make sure they're watered, sort them into like sizes to suit the buyers and best represent our producers and get them the most money. And we put up a show list, websites updated daily, show list and put it out, fax it, email it, post it on the website, share it on social media, contact all the buyers to make sure that everything's good to go with them, make sure they're coming, they've got all their bases covered, and it doesn't end there, because the sale isn't successful until the cattle are loaded out. So you've got to make sure that the counts are right, the trucks are loaded, the cattle are where they're supposed to be, that the cattle that are staying overnight are taken care of, well cared for, put on hay and water, and with that, and then the sale's really not closed until we get that check, and it can be another week. So, but that's for a successful sale, that's what we do.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
What factors are shaping the livestock industry, and how can producers benefit? Mm-hmm. So there's many things anymore with the video auctions. There's the pre-sort sales. I mean, currently we don't do that, but I mean, you come to the convention and you hear several people talking about pre-sort sales. Social media, I mean, it's huge. There's several ways as far as that goes that the producer benefits in their product. I mean, there's several things they can do at home as far as preconditioning, weaning, shots, and all that to ensure a successful sale.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
As a fourth-generation auctioneer, third-generation market owner, the family heritage has been, it's bred into me. I mean, I was born on sale day, literally. At a week old, was at my first livestock sale. Attended auction school when I was 16. Sold cattle for years. The livestock industry is changing and evolving, and I'm just glad to be part of it and going forward. Thank you, Wade.
Neil Barrett.
Thanks, sir.
Neil. Contestant number 24, Zach Zoomstein from Marsing, Idaho.
I just want to start with saying you've done a phenomenal job representing our industry this year. You left some big shoes to fill for the next champion.
Thank you. Would you like to take this moment to thank any sponsors or acknowledge any family?
Yes, please, I would. I have got my whole crew here. They all came all the way from Idaho to support me. That means a lot. I would also like to thank Treasure Valley Livestock Auction in Caldwell, Idaho, Central Washington Livestock, and Intermountain Livestock Exchange for sponsoring me.
Zach, let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
If we're going to have a successful auction, there's a lot of things that I think need to come into play. You need to have a conversation with your producers, maybe visit with them about what kind of genetics they've got in their herd, what kind of shop programs they're using, whether they're selling those calves off the cow or weaning them. They need to be up to speed with that, talk to their vets, and if they're talking to me, they're already in the right place. They're selling their cattle at auction, and they know that that is the best way we're going to bring top dollar for those cattle through competitive bidding.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
You know, internet bidding, I think, is a big one that's kind of come along, and it seems like the public's really taken a hold of that. The younger generation really is comfortable with technology. Video auctions, I think, are another one that's really taken it, the industry and really promoted these cattle. It's been good for our industry and given those ranchers an avenue to get rid of their cattle without even having to leave the ranch unless they don't want to. And I think that there's always going to be a spot for the markets to pick up the slack if those producers don't want to do it. And I think all three are good avenues. We're still promoting live auctions and competitive bidding as we hit on before. And I think that all those dynamics are just good for our industry, and we need to keep pushing them.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
I feel like as an auctioneer, I've got a passion for this industry that maybe a lot of people probably don't share. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a family that owned a market. I remember my dad as a young kid bringing my horse, you know, in the trailer in the sale so that I could bring cattle up through the back. As I got older, I worked the way through the back, sorting up, running gates, and eventually worked my way up to the auction block. And I really think that if I was to be fortunate enough to do well in this contest, that I could take that passion and inspire younger generations to carry on the torch, or maybe get new people involved, or inspire markets maybe that aren't members of LMA to see the value that we offer here at these conventions.
Good.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys.
Zach Zoomstein.
Thank you, Wade.
Contestant number 25, Tyler Bell from Anderson, Texas.
Wade, how you doing? Good to see you.
Tyler, we're going to have a conversation about our industry, but before we get to that, I want to give you a moment. If you'd like to acknowledge anybody for helping you get here.
Yes, sir. There's just a few people I'd like to acknowledge here today. First being my family for traveling all the way up here and being here and supporting me. It's meant a lot to me. Thank you, judges, for being here. My sponsors from back home, the people that I work for every week. It really, truly helped me be better every week. And lastly, the LMA. This has been neat deal to be a part of, and I'm glad to be a small part of it. And Wade, I believe you have some questions.
Sure do. We're going to talk about how you prepare for a sale. I'd like to know, what strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
The strategies that I try to use for a successful auction is, one, you've got to know what you're selling. You know, doesn't matter if it's cattle, equipment, or a cherry pie. You know, you got to study up on it. You know, and my biggest thing was, even, you know, selling cattle. You know, don't look at just markets of where you're at. Look at markets all across the world. You know, stay up to date on stuff that, you know, watch the podcast. There's so many avenues and routes to be more educated today, and on social media platforms, and I find that as a useful tool to better myself and to prepare myself for an auction. And just, I think, selling every week as well. I think it's the more you do it, the better you get. So,
what factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
Can you repeat that question?
Sure. What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
I think the factors that are benefiting these guys is, you know, there's so many like these conventions, there's so many, nowadays the co-ops around us especially are putting on these clinics of guys, you know, this is the time that you need to wean your cattle, and educating the farmer, the producer, more of what they need to be doing to bring the top dollar to sale. And I think it's the little things that you do that lead to a big ending. And so I think that's one of the big factors leading to for successful producers.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
I believe that true price discovery in a live auction is the way that your role really plays a big part. You know, it may aggravate a buyer, but you're working for the seller. And you work for the buyers as well, and I get that they have a certain job as well, but your job is to get the most amount you can for them cattle. And that's something I've always tried to be very, very hard on myself about, is, you know, it doesn't matter if it's, you know, when the sale starts or you've been selling for 12 hours and everybody's tired, we all want to go home. To me, it never mattered. I always tried to give my absolute all to it, because that's somebody's salary coming right through the ring, and it's up to you to decide it. And it's you put in what you get out, and you got to, in my opinion, you have to put the most amount of effort you can, and that's why I take the job the most serious as I can, and that's what I believe.
Good? Yes, sir. All right. Tyler Bell, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go off this way. Contestant number 26, Leon Castleman from Long Lane, Missouri.
Thank you, Wade. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us this evening. My name is Leon Castleman from Long Lane, Missouri, as Wade just said. Extremely my pleasure to be here with you. Judges, thank you for coming out, taking your busy schedule, and just being with us this week. It's really good. Wade, I understand you got some questions for me.
Yeah, let's get right to it. Let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
When I'm getting ready for an auction, I try to know what's going to be at the auction. I try to know what the product is worth I'm selling, whether it be livestock or sheep and goats, cattle, horses, whatever I'm selling. I feel that I already know what that is worth. Along with that, I try to talk to some of the buyers. You know, us being a family-owned market, I'll call my buyers and let them know what's going to be there and just kind of get a feel for what's going to go on. And that's the way I prepare for my market.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
The factors, I feel like there's so many tools out there that a person can use nowadays, you know, the insurance programs and stuff. I think that's pushing our livestock market to stay lively. I think if we did not have some of them tools for people to use, we wouldn't be able to see these high prices that we're seeing now, and some of these people are really getting what their product's worth. I really feel like, you know, the future going into this is going to be really strong, as long as we can keep working on a level playing field, you know, and everybody get the same state of mind to go on forward with this.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
As an auctioneer, I think it's very important to be supportive of the livestock industry, to always stay on the forefront of what's going on. I feel like as an auctioneer, it's my job to make sure that the product I'm selling brings enough, but also, you know, talk to the people that bring the product to us, the livestock and whatever we're selling. You know, you may be selling machinery, but I feel it's just as important to do that.
Good.
All right.
All right, Leon Castleman.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Wade. Nice job. Thank you.
Contestant number 27, Jace Thompson from Billings, Montana.
Hi, Wade. How are you? Good. Good to see you, Jace. You too.
Jace, before we start our conversation, I'm going to give you a moment to acknowledge any family or friends or sponsors to help you get here.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone that's listed in the pamphlet, I got to thank those guys, absolutely. But if I was really going to thank everybody who has supported me along the way and helped me along, it'd fill up about the whole pamphlet. So I just sure appreciate everyone's support. I appreciate all the attendees, not only here, but at the convention as a whole. And I appreciate the judges' time as well today. Wade, I'm ready for your questions.
Let's do it. Let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
Yeah, I think it's something you kind of learn as you go along, but a surefire way is you know, I spend a lot of time studying market reports, you know, and each geographical area is different as what cattle they're selling, what ranchers are bringing those cattle. So I think getting to know the cattle that are coming to the sale, how those cattle are handled, and also what buyers you have coming to that sale as well, to kind of know how to navigate the sale. I always kind of make it a point to go out back, walk through the yards, you know, expect to see what you're coming in that day, so nothing comes to you as a surprise. But I would say, you know, studying market reports, going out back, walking through the cattle, and also knowing, you know, your buying crowd as well as your selling crowd to be able to bridge the gap that day.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Absolutely. What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
Well, there's a lot of factors that are shaping the future of the livestock auction, and I would say the first one that comes to mind, maybe not necessarily the biggest, is these livestock risk protection programs. We've seen them be used heavily, especially in the high prices we've seen in the last few years. These guys are able to lock their cattle in, get a peace of mind, and also have the top side of their profit open as well. So the livestock risk protection programs is a big one. I would also say, you know, it's been something that's been in the works for quite some time, but the internet is going to continue to play a big part, and these video auctions, in my opinion, are going to continue to grow and gain traction. So I don't think it's necessarily an issue, but it's just something we need to keep up with, and it'll continue to grow, and it offers so many different options for producers, you know, to be able to market their cattle ahead of the fall.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
Well, I think me personally, as an auctioneer, my role, I think I've kind of grown into it and accepted, you know, my age is, I kind of look at it as a benefit. I think we're at a time in the industry, and you've heard it in the Common Ground Summit, the panel there this morning. It's really, really important to either keep young people involved or bring young people in and get them involved in the industry. So I think with my age, I can add, you know, maybe another level of enthusiasm to my generation and kind of, you know, keep this thing going and keep people involved, keep younger people involved, and hopefully keep the train on the tracks.
You good?
Yep, I'm good if you're good.
Jace Thompson, everybody.
Thanks, Wade.
Do you want this mic? Nope, take it right with you.
Contestant number 28, Dean Edge from Rimbey, Alberta.
Hey, I just want to make a few thank yous before we get going here today. I'd sure like to thank the LMA. I'm a member of the LMA, and I've never been part of such a professional organization. I just feel they offer great opportunities for me. And also thanks to each and every one of you for being here. I know it maybe was bigger earlier, but I say each and every one of you because some of you are here today just to watch one or two of us, and some of you are here to watch all 30 of us. And you provide more than just what you think. I know you're scrutinizing and you're judging as well, but you provide an atmosphere for us to have this interview, and it just brings up that level of priority and prestige for this interview. And of course, thanks to the judges too. Obviously, you folks are good at what you do, and you take the time out of your schedule to be part of this. So we appreciate everybody being here.
Ready to have a conversation, Dean?
Yes, sir.
That's not your first question.
Oh.
Let's talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
Well, that's a very good question, and something that I do probably on more than a weekly basis, obviously, especially in the fall when you got a lot of cattle moving. I think leading up to the sale, we usually try to have that list of consigners booked in to come in, and it all has to do with being out in the country and phoning people and checking in with them on when they want to sell their cattle and when they want to have them there. And this could take year after year, you know, the data that we keep to try to keep everybody in line, and we know their schedule when they want to sell. But getting a hold of those buyers the night before and letting them know, or the day before, letting them know what kind of cattle are going to be in there the next day is also very big importance to everything. And having the staff sort the cattle properly. Some days you're going to be short-staffed, and you got to be out there doing some of that yourself, making sure everything's weighed properly. And our show list is right ready to go for the next day as well. We do pre-weigh a lot of cattle at those two markets that I'm part of. So we pre-weigh them the day before and get that show list out, emails or texted out to the buyers the night before. And then next morning, be there on time and be ready to roll. I usually start things off, make sure the buyers are there. And if it's 10 to 9, we're starting at 9 o'clock, I'm texting, hey, where you at? especially if it's a bad weather day or something. They say they're in the parking lot. Well, all right, make sure the buyers are there and ready to go. And then from then on, just take care of the customers. They're a big part of what we do, obviously. If it wasn't for the customers, we wouldn't get any commission. We wouldn't be able to make a go of it. So take care of them as we're going through the sale. And I think coming to events like this, where you get to go to the sessions and the seminars, make every single time I come to one, when I go home, I'm better at what I do for my customers. So all those reasons, all those examples of what I do to get ready for sale.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
Well, that's a great question, too. Of course, we are an all-time record high for cattle sales, and if you've been to any of the sessions, we know that the cow population in North America is as low as it was since 1951, I believe. So being really low numbers is low supply, and our demand is still there, or maybe even higher for the beef. So, of course, it's making more money for our customers that bring their livestock in. And I think with a little bit more money, and I see it more money in the pockets of the producers, I see it at the bull sales. They are buying better bulls and improving their genetics. And that makes a big difference in conversion rates, not just when they're on the cow, but conversion rates in the feedlot, and higher carcass traits as well. So not just record high prices, but if you ever want to keep money flowing back in the economy, you give it to a rancher or a farmer, because they're going to get rid of it right away. So they're buying better bulls all the time. The guys that used to spend $4,500 on a bull, you know, they're now spending $9,000, $10,000 on a bull. And the guys that always spend $10,000 or $12,000, they're now spending $18,000 on a bull. And I know the competitive level's there, of course, and the prices have gone up anyway. But the genetics and the market is going to break a lot more money in our customers' pockets, for sure.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
Well, that's a very good question as well. As an auctioneer, you might feel like you're kind of on the outside, but just have a vital role, you know, one day a year for your customer, or one day a year when you go to a meeting. We maybe have a lot of different industry representation in our whole industry, and we're just one part of it. But one great thing that we've got on the go, and if you went to the seminars and everything, is that Common Ground Summit, where we can all get together for a common goal and be unified. But going back to the question, as the auctioneer, I believe not just being an auctioneer and getting the most amount of money for the cattle, but I'm also a pretty good public speaker, or MC. And if I run into anybody, any place, and they can ask me a question about how the cattle market is or how it's going, my experience of being a livestock auctioneer will help answer those questions to those people. And I can get more for the customer being a good auctioneer, but I can also relay the message to people who aren't even involved that we're trying to get that unified voice to. And going back to being an auctioneer, I can be better at getting that voice heard. You good? That's another question? I'm very good. Ask me if I'm good. I'm good, yeah. Any more?
I think we're all good.
We're all good. Thank you, folks. I really meant what I said at the start. Thank you.
Dean Edge. Contestant number 29, Preston Smith from Imperial, Nebraska.
Thank you, Wade. You did a great job this year. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Preston Smith. I'm from Imperial, Nebraska. I'm sponsored by Imperial Auction Market at Imperial and St. Francis Stockyard. I'd really like to thank them. My family's here. My wife, my number one supporter, my number one dedicator, and she is the operation and brains of our core values. Thank you for all these years of your support, and thank you, you 5 judges, for taking time out of your career to be here today to do this for us. Wade, I think you have 3 questions for me.
Sure do, Preston. I'd like to talk about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
Well, Wade, that's a really good question, and there's a lot that goes into preparing yourself for a sale. Not only being an auctioneer, but also being an owner of 2 markets, you got to watch to treat your customers and do your customers justice. I prepare myself by I watch what's going on around my other markets. You know, what does the market north of me get for their cattle? What did the market east of me get to the cattle? What did the markets to the west get? And then I also prepare myself, because owning a sale barn, there is a key, and you would know, Wade, is that how do I build my sale? Today, do I start with 3 weights? Do I start with 8 weights? Is it going to be hot? Then I'm going to start with 8 weights, because I don't want shrink on my cattle. My customers don't want shrink on their cattle. So we'll start that day with 8 weights, and then we'll end up with the fly weights. We build the market up. Then I study the board. What is the value of this animal worth? 500 pounds, what's he worth? We figured at 800. So you can ask my wife tonight, if you see her, that generally our sale days are Tuesdays, and I start prepping on Sunday afternoon, take my own time, step away from the kids and the wife, and I'd prepare my study, because that's our job, not only being an auctioneer and a market owner, but we need to get the best price possible for our customers.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
You know, this year has been a very strong year for the livestock marketing industry, I do believe. We come together as an organization and a group early on this year to voice our opinion on some of the rules and regulations that were happening on the government side. And our industry and market owners stepped up, voiced their opinion, and we slowed it down to not only our pace, but maybe our rules and regs got a little bit easier for us versus right now we're going to do this. Then also here a couple months ago, the Livestock Marketing Association created a task force that come together, and they had a meeting, and they called it the Common Ground Summit that was held in Denver, Colorado. And there was every organization and association that had anything to do with the livestock industry was there. They discussed it, they come together, and they was unified. And I think it's so important that that summit went so well that all the way across the livestock industry, they were unified. And I think we're going to get a lot of things accomplished moving forward in this industry. So I'm excited about the future of livestock, and what it does for the producer is you get your true price discovery that day, and you're guaranteed 100% paycheck from that market owner.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
Oh, I do believe with the strength of my part, being started in 1999, owning 2 markets, what I can do to help the livestock marketing administration is to be able to bring my knowledge, to be able, I'm young, be able to learn, to be able to speak. A lot of people know me here, but I don't think I know a stranger, and I'm able to talk to anybody about anything and not pick one side or the other, but just able to listen. But being that person, you're an ambassador for the industry, and I'm looking forward to it.
You good, Preston?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Good. Nice job.
Thank
Preston
you, Wade,
Smith.
so much. Folks, ladies and gentlemen, Preston Smith, Imperial, Nebraska, thank you for being here today.
Contestant number 30 is Andy Baumeister from Goldthwaite, Texas.
Yes, sir. How are you? Good.
Well, Andy, we're going to have a short conversation, but before we do, I'm going to give you a moment to acknowledge anybody who helped you get here if you'd like to take it.
You bet. Yes, sure do want to thank everybody for coming out today. Want to thank my sponsors, Coryell County Commission Company, Robin Thomas and her family. They do a great job. Jordan Cattle Auction there in San Saba, Texas, Ken and Kenda Jordan, their family. New deal this year, I think it's great. Albert and Susan Epperly are my local sponsors. Such a cool deal. Thank you all so much for all that. Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's have that conversation. Let's start by talking about how you prepare for a sale. What strategies do you use to ensure a successful auction?
You know, I think the best way to ensure a successful auction is just to be ourselves. This is what we do every day. And I think we all try and think about things too much. And honesty, integrity, and do what we do every day. And be prepared, obviously. Know your background and what we're selling, product knowledge. But just do what we do and bring our best.
What factors are shaping the future of livestock auctions, and how can sellers benefit?
You know, some factors facing us, you know, and I think every region is different. But I think one major factor is the help, how that affects our customers. It's just, we've got to do better, get the cattle in there. As far as our customers, I think it's a great time to be in the livestock industry. Great time. So, yes, there are some things that we've got to work through as market owners because of help, but I still think we can deliver exactly what we need to for our customers and get them every dollar for their cattle.
As an auctioneer, how do you see your role contributing to the strength and unity of the livestock industry?
That's a great question, Wade. You know, like I say, we're all auctioneers. We love what we do. We wouldn't be in this industry if we didn't love what we do. So therefore, getting to do this every day and interact with people and the camaraderie from this contest, even, we meet lifelong friends. And so I think that all brings everything back to why we sell cattle, why we sell sheep and goats, anything. It's a passion that we have, and I feel like that passion is what drives our industry.
You good?
Yes, sir.
All right. Andy Baumeister, everyone. That was our final contestant, and I think all 30 of them, of course, did a wonderful job and will make great ambassadors for our industry. If we could just give all 30 one collective round of applause, I think they deserve it. Just a few reminders before we go. There is a reception this evening, and our pack dinner is going to begin at 6:45. We have an auction there as well. We have these pack pins. They're $100 that you can buy to support the pack, but also be entered into the opportunity to win a cooler out there. I think it's stocked full of fun beverages, and that opportunity to win that will take place just before the pack auction starts. We want to thank everyone for coming here, and best of luck to all the semifinalists as they prepare for tomorrow's competition. Thank you.